it. See you then.
Thank you, boys. Bye.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. TrainHard versus Rogue. You just heard it from Tortank and the preparation for the league. TrainHard have had some, honestly, not a great season, but at the same time, some great performances when they really did show up. So we all know that the talent is there. You don't get to EU League if you're not good enough to be in here. That goes for talent as well. This one, I hit my nose. Let's talk about the story for this one, because Rogue collect points for their seeding, but TrainHard collect points to get out of the bottom of the stage.
They do. It's for TrainHard, it's about the foundation moving forward now. You know, they have got themselves into a slightly better position, that much is for sure, but they need to think about going forward from here. And it's, for them, I think, right now, it's about ironing out mistakes. They don't want mistakes every single performance. The first thing they need to do is not worry about winning or losing. What we need to do is come away and be happy with our own performance, regardless of the result, and then they can build from there.
Yeah, I mean, they were always said that they were a project in development. They never kind of minced words about it. They said, yeah, we know that this is a tough league to get into. But the new system allows that chance of growth. It allows that chance to kind of find your pace and test some things out, see if they work, and reinvigorate and revolutionize your play.
Because back in the day, you didn't have it. As I was explaining, Fluke, you had to come in, you had 3 months, and then that was it. The season is over, and you had no time to adapt, and people would just be flung left and right. So, hey, at least that part makes a ton of sense. How about we talk about our rosters then? First of all, with TrainHard, our challengers in this match.
So these names are becoming a little bit more familiar to us now. Of course, some were knocking about before, but they've come together as a team for Stage 1 of EUL. Chaoxis has been going very well so far. Everybody else just needing to step up that little bit. Durza had a great game yesterday, to be fair to him. They just need to start finding that consistency. And whether that's just a matter of time, everybody getting comfortable with their roles within the team, with what everybody else is going to be doing around them, we'll see as we move into the following stages. But right now, I'm sure they would love to lock out this one with another, what we have to call a surprise or upset victory, which is what it would be against Rogue. We have a look at the sort of deeper dive information here with the team card. The win rate, only 25%. It's been rough for them, and you just feel like if they can creep through a few more wins and that confidence starts to go up, it really could break the seal on the performances, Milosh. It could be the turnaround moment for them, because they always feel like they've got, well, most of the time, they feel like they've got something in the locker, but they just don't always manage to deliver it.
Let's see if they can deliver it today against their opponents. Rogue right now in the top 4 and officially in position 4. A win today means 3 points, means that they are in position 3, more money and more invitational points.
Yeah, in a way they have more to play for today. They've been a team that, you know, they came in on a loss at the beginning of the season and people were like, uh-oh. But then they've been able to reform. They obviously had a bit of a change up and added to their coaching staff that's done wonders behind the scenes. You really have to give credit to obviously Bernie and Meepy, who have came in to join Arkuth and really add another element to Rogue. And obviously they've also had player changes and roster changes too. And, you know, Crime's been able to step in and step up. It's a better showing from Rogue. I'm still going to say that they're developing. I'm still going to say that they're trying to refine themselves in terms of how tough this league is, but they've got to the top 4, and I think that's a really, really good showing from a team that before were fighting relegation based on a single split. And it's not just they had a rough whole 2 seasons, it was the worst split a team has seen. And you can't kind of overestimate that. For them to come back from that, like, kind of mentally, their game, they've stepped up, they've stepped in. One more Playday as a cherry on the top to potentially find 3rd. Either way, they've really had a good return.
Really have. And yeah, yesterday they really gave us their best against G2, a big game between them. Let's see who you guys picked for our head-to-head in this one. Who are the 2 culprits today? It's Leon and Chaoxis. What is the comparison? Because I can see, operator-wise, there's some similarities between these handsome boys.
Well, there's more similarities than just that, Milosh. Obviously playing in similar roles, taking those supportive operators, the hard breach, but they're also doing an awful lot for the team. Aside from that, they are central to these rosters, and we've got 5 opening kills on the side of Chaoxis, 7 for Leon. It just shows how they are getting involved in the rounds from minute 1. Both very similar in terms of stats, really, apart from the deaths on the side of Leon, maybe putting himself at risk a little bit more often.
Yeah, I think that's the thing as well, is when you're talking about the current game, and I know it's something that I highlighted yesterday, is it used to be your support role was one where they played support, they got in, and they were the kind of end-all. Now they've got to be a gunner too. You're never really sure where the aggression's going to hit the head, and if you're a Thermite player who traditionally was, it was joked as being a Fragmite role, it was joked as not being a gunning role, you've still got to be able to shoot. You've still got to be able to get yourself into firefights aggressively. Mm-hmm. And these are 2 players that really fly that modern Thermite role well. Is sure, they're playing the diffuser, they're going for the plants, but they're also looking for fights when they need to. And, it's a really good kind of new wave.
Yeah, it's a similar thing to in-game leaders that kind of step in and are like, okay, well, it's good that you're giving the call-outs, but we need you to do other things. It happened in so many esports so far in shooters where you have an in-game leader that steps in and it gives all the information, but the game evolves over time and you need to step up into a new role. It has to evolve. And that's what we're looking at, even with support players. I'm sure that makes Ace very happy whenever we talk about Thermite players, because it makes me happy too. So
it does, but I don't like what I'm saying there about trying to force me towards getting more kills. That's a little bit of a worry for me.
That's when you into more of a gunfight thing.
That's when Ace joins Pro League, though. When you're playing an EOL, then we can talk about you in that way, Ace. Fair enough.
It'd be a disaster.
It'd be a disaster for every other team playing against you. I understand that. Come on, I want to see it.
Anyways, show matches.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've never played in one, to be honest. Oh God. No, we have half our X Pro. Okay, don't worry about it. So, moving on from this subject, we are still waiting for our lobby, by the way, which is why you're seeing us talking about things in general, kind of taking our time. Let's look at the map for this one, because Rogue has proven to us that they can perform very well on some, but depending on who they're playing against, not so much. Clubhouse, they're starting off on the attack. Rogue, that is. Last time they played it against Navi, and wasn't a fun time for Rogue, was it?
Yeah, the less said about that, it's probably better. I mean, but they also played against Secret 171. It's such a mixed bag map. At the same time, they almost drew level and OT'd with Empire. On the day, it could be a Rogue map. On the not day, it could be a quick map. But it is a consistent map. We've already talked about how frequent Club shows up. What a surprise. Here it is again.
Rogue so far, they've played Clubhouse 3 times, they've won 2, so they're not doing too bad. TrainHard is the direct reverse of that. They've played 3 times and only won once. So Rogue do come in here with an advantage. Attack is going to be important here. Rogue have got just less than a 50% win rate on the attack. TrainHard is down at 30%, and that is not good enough. So that's going to be a key factor here. How well can TrainHard attack? We saw them have capability in and around CCTV cache, so keep your eyes open. Gym and bedroom, church and arsenal, they're the areas you want to be looking out for when TrainHard attack. If they start taking rounds off Rogue on those sites, then we might just see an upset.
Oh, Coppet is here.
What?
Our admin Coppet abusing the system, I'm sure. Final Playday of R6CUL. For now, I can't say I am not sad, but it was fun while it lasted, and we'll be back soon. Yes, hopefully in the meantime, Coppet, you can finish your cosplay, and we can all see how it all looks like at the end.
The amount of times that I've come into the call in the morning before work, and Coppet has been nyawing and oohing. I just want to publicly say I don't approve of that message, but Hap seemingly does. So... It's just too early in the morning for it. If you come in, if you wake up and someone's hitting you with that stuff at like anything before lunchtime, too early. Sorry, I just wanted to publicly put our admin on blast there.
Honestly, well,
I love that you've got
back
some
at you.
strict rules about it, Em.
I do. I've got very strict rules, and they can't respond right now because they're not allowed in the voice chat.
Yeah, we can hear them, but sometimes they mute themselves, but we can kick them out of the server, no problem. That said, performance for TrainHard. Who needs to show up today to replicate this victory that TrainHard had against Vitality last night versus Rogue?
Everybody whose name isn't Chaoxis.
Fair.
Is probably the best way that I can put it. That's what TrainHard need right now. They need the other players to start stepping up. The thing is, I just want to make it clear, that's not me having a shot at TrainHard. That's not me sort of trying to criticize the players. It's players like Blaz. We know how great Blaz is.
Yes.
We just need to see it. You know, he's absolutely phenomenal on his day. And we just need to see his day a little bit more often. Durza had a great game yesterday. And look what happened. When the other players step up and Chaoxis has that support, he still delivers. And then the team do fantastically well. We just need to see those performances more often. Exactly what they're capable of. Look at the French Cup final. Turned over BDS. No problem. Let's see that TrainHard.
It's hard to disagree with that. It's one of those things where TrainHard plays with intensity. They always kind of put their all into the game. Sometimes Rogue, you feel like they're having a good time and they can build themselves behind it when the mental's good. If things don't hit the mark, they sometimes retreat into their shell a little bit, and you start to see some of these little slip mistakes and little slipped moments. So I think you're right that all of the guns of TrainHard need to be firing, because if Rogue find fun and find joy early in a game via wins and via round takes, that usually carries them for the entire thing.
Just to put some people on blast, people are still setting up their backdrops and everything. We were supposed to be in here in the game already many minutes ago, but Cryan is still setting up his backdrop.
Oh yeah, no.
That's why
he's quite.
Honestly, that's why we're sitting here.
Shouldn't be too much of a challenge.
I'm sorry, but we got a time frame, we got a schedule to go with, and usually we would call Veli to start the game, but he's asleep right now, so I can't really expect that from him. Right, so we just end up blaming it on Hap because why not?
Hap's the one that has our cast to start button in game.
Mm-hmm. And apparently Hap is our observer as well.
Hap's our observer.
That's what I saw from Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
right?
you're observing now.
So
I've observed once. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, our game is ready, so we can actually get it going.
I'll tell you that story off broadcast.
Cannot wait to hear more about the details. That said, it is time for us to toss it to our casters. Jess and Dez are ready for TrainHard versus Rogue. We start off with our game on Clubhouse yet again. Fluke Ace, thanks so much. Let's go.
Thank you very much, Milos. Jess, this is our last time casting together for the regular season, and what a game it's set to be, because we are potentially in a spot where if TrainHard lose the next game between Empire versus Secret, no matter which way it goes, TrainHard would lose 8th place, they lose those 2,000 pieces of sweet paper, 2,000 euros, and they lose 115 points of SI points. No one wants to be in that spot, so we need to see them get something from this game, but Rogue are looking pretty good lately, I think it's fair to say.
Well, they're going on to one of the most played maps for TrainHard, and you would expect if a team's, likely to go to a map consistently, both in French League and in the regular season, then they probably like it. Otherwise, they ban it, right? Just using common sense here, right? So if this TrainHard's technically most favored map, then Rogue are on an uphill battle here, considering the momentum from
this is
yesterday.
Also Rogue most played map.
Rogue well, there you go.
I know, this is the thing. They've played it more than any other map this stage. That's the thing. They've beat Empire there. They've beat Secret there. Say again, sorry.
Consulate was close.
Consulate it's a close second, yeah, but it's still not second. It's still not first place, is it? That's like saying, it's almost a goal, but it's not a goal. It's still come out in first place. So I think for both of these teams to go to arguably their favorite maps is going to be a real treat here on the final play day of the season. But Jess, I know you've got loads of knowledge in that noggin of yours. Talk to me about these bans coming out, because Malusi, her ban rate has slowly been creeping up as the play days have gone by.
Yeah, look, not a surprise to see her go, especially on a map like this. And for the most part, you'll actually see Rogue get rid of this operator right here, Wamai. For the most part, throughout this season specifically, they'll get rid of either the Wamai or they'll get rid of the Mirror, sometimes the Kaid as well. Instead, they've opted for the Malusi. That seems to me like a bit more of a targeted ban, because they haven't banned it on this map specifically throughout this stage. So, okay, here we go. And well, I think you've read the wrong bans. Dirt's and Never Forget. I believe this comes out of an Ash ban that happened previous in the stage. So if you're wondering what that kind of discourse is, don't worry about it. It's just banned it between the players. And something I need to point out very poignantly here. Spoken is not spoken. Spoken is Dirtser. Dirtser just can't play on his account.
Yeah, a bit locked out, bit of a bug on his account, so he is having to play on there. Don't worry, because I know the natural assumption is, oh my god, is Dirtser banned? No, else he wouldn't be playing. So don't worry, he's all clean, ladies and gents, but some of his plays are absolutely filthy. We spoke about the 3Ks, the 4Ks that he steps up and just achieves in random rounds. And given he's starting on the Jaeger here, I want to see him fly. He's in his home, he's in Clubhouse. Now's the time to make an impact. And again, ensure that you definitely finish in 8th place and get those 115 SI points.
Well, the points, the money, no matter what you look at, it's also a little bit of confidence coming out of this stage, going into the next stage and having an off season between them. We've discussed this at great lengths. Teams need the off season. That's what they need, especially TrainHard is pretty much a brand new roster, at least all together, and they're trying to work out their synergy. Blaz specifically was one of the big hitters in Challenger League. In fact, I think he was being coined one of the new Shikos. The fact that he's had a pretty lackluster season, considering that kind of terminology, shows me that he still has a lot left in the tank. Give it till stage 2, maybe he'll be unlocked, unleashed. But for now, TrainHard, they'll start on the defense and they'll actually go to Church and Arsenal, which is their second most played site statistically. And it's one of their most won sites as well.
And speaking of, Jess, you're talking about stats. Let's look at the picks on the side of TrainHard here. Who are we seeing? The Kaid that we saw in the example videos earlier, excellently put together by Hap, an Ace, an M. And then we're also looking, of course, towards the Aruni that we commented on. And I think at the time I said something, I don't know why I know that I said it, something to the tune of on maps like this. The lineups can be a little less flexible than they are on other maps. It can be a little more difficult to deal with the Iana laser gates, for example, depending on where they are. Very commonly, you'll have one inside of Moto looking inside a church. So I'm thinking here already, how long is it going to take Road to get these hatches opened up? And then what's going to be the game plan for the utility they've got in their back pockets?
You know what the problem is? They don't have a Maverick because it's been banned. They also don't have a Thatcher. Kaid not being banned, which was a ban that Rogue usually likes to do on this map, is a big problem. How do you deal with it? You're probably going to have to use Selmas next to the hatch. You're also probably going to have to use grenades. It's going to take up and eat up a lot of your time here on the attack. And the fact that they're probably going to be Kaid tricking Moto hatch for the most part is important because, okay, give up kitchen hatch, no problems. Maybe you want to also contend onto dirt tunnel as well. My problem here is, Des, once they've eaten up all this time, you'll start to lose the time for the execution and you'll start to lose bodies. No more soft breach, unless, of course, and there we go. That's the kind of electric claw tricking I was talking about. What do you have left to work with here? 6x Kairos. Okay, that's going to work. Was that a grenade? Perfect. That was from the vertical from kitchen hallway there. No one there for another electric claw. They finally get it open. And these are the ways that you can deal with the hatches that we weren't able to display on that video earlier on in the pre-show.
Really well played by Corey. You may be asking questions as to why there were 2 pellets put on each corner of the kitchen hatch, one after the other. Why not just slap 4 on there, you might say? He was worried about the Kaid electric, about the Kaid tricks, or about potentially impacts coming sailing up. So it's more of guaranteeing that it's going to get opened up. And to tell you what, explosives galore in this round. We had the C4 to kick it off, followed up by a grenade. 2 thrown, 2 connected. Great play by Aces, because for crying, he went down with both of those in the back pocket, unfortunately. But Aces, high value, Electro Claw, and a kill. And it's going to now turn into Leon finding another. That's Blaz going down a 4 versus 3. They got control of blue, and Aces finds yet another. It's a 4 versus 2, and the man doesn't miss. It's 2 heads to start off proceedings and a triple kill. Can't make it a 4th as Dirtser is pulling off one of those rounds, Jess. He's got the 2. He may as well make it a 3 or even a 4 because that's what he's got to do to close the round out. There are 13 seconds to go. Pings are going to help the man out here. Sees the man step up, finds the head. There's the 3. Can he find the 4th? It's the 1v1 against Corey, but Corey's a little bit too good in round number 1. Unfortunately, Rogue take it by the skin of their teeth.
Oh, there was a Valkyrie cam red spotting them continuously. Check. Diffusers down. Check. Everything going into the heads of Dirtser. Check. And I think at the end there, Corey went down considerably. I was watching his HP. I wasn't watching the engagement. I was watching his HP, and it dwindled considerably. He was probably 1 bullet away from death. And when you are 1 bullet away from being clutched against, that is a very stressful situation. Although Rogue walk away with that round, it was not a confident one by any means, even though it damn should have been, considering the man advantage. They'll stick with the Yana. Those grenades were great. A little bit of a question as to why there might not have been that ADS or a double ADS stack in blue. That's a question here that Dirtz is going to have to answer if they want to go back down there, but they won't repeat it. They'll go up to top floor, and let's be honest, we said it in the pre-show here, Des, one of the least defendable sites overall in EUL, so they're going to have to pull out something nasty.
Probably going to see a good bit of vertical play coming through too, I think, with the Kai being brought out once again. Likelihood is you want to get underneath and clear that out from below. So keep a very close eye on Leon in this round. Potentially the grenades coming out of both Aces and Crying. And looking back at the last round, we touched on the impact of those grenades as they came out from Aces. Here is said grenade as it sailed through and caught the player out inside of blue. You commented on there was no ADS stack set up there. It was just the Aruni all by themselves. Not really a spot you want to be playing into, by yourself, to be completely honest. But again, a close round. Let's see how round 2 develops and see if this is going to descend into a bit of a chaotic first half.
Well, that's the Aruni as well. If you guys missed out on the pre-show, you missed out on so much good analysis and discussion. We spoke about Aruni. We spoke about this very map. It's almost like the teams knew that we wanted to bring in this map. Now, if you're wondering where those electric claws are, well, what they've been able to do is place one above the drone hole, but they've given it up. What's the point of doing ones where you're trying to evade things like a Kali, etc., when the Kali's not going to be there? You know Maverick's banned, so you could place it anywhere on the wall and force them to go below, and then possibly electric claw trick on the drone hole later on into the round. I think they look like they might possibly want to get Leon Gids in below, and that's what they'll do, but it will take a lot of manpower to do. You don't want to be peeked from red. I think M showed the best angle all the way from the lobby, double doors to deal with this vertically, but you then still have to shoot the electric claw from underneath. That puts you in so much danger.
That one that she 100% hit first time, right?
Yes. Look at that. That's not enough.
100% hit first time. I'm sure that would be the case. And now they have blown the floor out with Leon below. Has gone through both of those impacts. So your best down well hope they could get rid of it, which they shall do. Off the top of the wall, things opened up. CC breaches opened. 1 minute 15. Maybe not as quick as you'd hope, but with the vertical play requirement, you've got to make sure the downstairs is safe. I wanted to have a chat though, Jess, about the laser gates and more specifically how it's going to burn quite a bit of utility trying to get this guy off a catwalk. Here, Aces has gone hyper aggressive and just pushed and underneath and said, "Hey, I'll happily take the challenge," but they know nowhere at. Nice shot to Crying, does lose out on the next one. Did flick the right direction, but nothing to be found when Durza, with a lovely angle from upstairs inside of Cash, looks straight down through the double wall, through Lounge, onto the player in Garage, and it's now more of a graveyard than it is being held by either team, as the attackers have lost 2 and Noera is dead in there. Unlucky timing, Leon. Nice try, buddy, but 4 versus 2 for TrainHard, Jess.
It just seems like a bit of a disjointed push here from Rogue. They've got 60 full seconds left to play with. Look how many drones are still in the pocket of Aces. He doesn't seem to understand that intel is an opportunity for them here. He just wants to go boom, boom, pow. He's got the grenades out. He has the ARX. His head will get taken clean off of his shoulders by Durza. And we've seen him use many of these angles to great effect. And when you're in a 4v1 situation like this, you're just attempting to try and collect a little bit of time to calm down your team. You're also trying to pad the stats. And I think overall here, Des, this should be a wake-up call to Rogue that you cannot push TrainHard without coordination.
Yeah, it's a little bit dicey. I mean, normally you have pressure coming through on Garage Door if you're trying to get rid of the player on catwalk, but clearly they thought getting underneath would be enough. Durza completes his second 3K of the game so far. So for the guy we were talking about coming out with these miraculous 3Ks to save rounds every now and again, he's had 2 in a row so far. Great start for him and for TrainHard. Given how dicey round 1 looked for Rogue to take the win and how convincing the second round was, I think we've seen a different team step onto the field today, Jess.
We also have to give a bit of a shout out. You said that, Noera wasn't being pressured by Garage Door. Well, he actually was, and he actually managed to get one of those Roni bullets over onto the head of the player in Garage Door before being aggressed from below. I will say it was a little bit of a miscoordination of the team to have someone peek Garage Door and not really have the underneath pressure that they were looking for. Okay, there were angles from above, etc. So we don't know what the comms are really looking like, but I will say very, very well controlled, very passive, and very disciplined from Noera and Garage there. I'm pleasantly surprised by TrainHard in that round to the effect of holding a site that generally doesn't hold well on defense. I'm going to put that down to the bans. I do think forcing teams to have to use a lot of utility underneath to get rid of these electric claws, to get rid of whatever they need to. Who was it last round that was on the Kaid? I don't have it listed here. It definitely wasn't Blaz. It might have been Spark who was on. Yeah, he could have actually done the drone hole electric claw trick, and it actually would have saved it. The impacts below wouldn't have had any impact on it. So interesting that he didn't commit to that.
Speaking of Noera as well, one, you are absolutely right. I had a massive brain fart then because I even said mid-round he flicked from Garage onto the guy below but couldn't quite connect. So I have no idea why that one slipped me. But second, and the real point here, Noera, again, one of these players that I've spoken about all season that has said, I think in an interview back in December, something to the effect of, I'm kind of like Shaiko's my mentor. He's kind of taking me under his wings, working with me. And I remember when I first spoke to a couple of people who know the scene much better than I did when CL was first kicking off, and I'd never heard of Noera at this point. They were like, how the hell have you not heard of Noera? He's basically the next Shaiko. And I was like, really? And it didn't really manifest itself in Challenger League. It hasn't yet done so in EUL, but you can see the occasional round where he does gun well. So maybe it was high praise that wasn't necessarily justified at the time, but I believe there's potential there. As we keep on saying, him and Blaz could be absolutely enormous for the team as long as they get themselves in the right mind state. And given the rocky nature of this season, I think it's fair to say we need a bit more time for them to really build up to that.
Well, the type at this kind of range can have a little bit of a kick, and even a tier 1 player can struggle with it. Blaz, however, on the org, he'll have less recoil to worry about. So if he was to peek it again, he could have had major damage to the diffuser holder of the Hibana. This is what we were talking about before. How do you want to deal with these walls? Okay, spot out the Electroclaw. It's within grenade range. How many ADSs do we have to deal with? Well, my banned as well, so that's the only one you're going to have to deal with. Grenade will sail in. A question again, where are these ADSs being placed on this map? Where is Dirtser committing them? Because so far, they've had very little effect on multiple rounds.
Stacked out towards the extended hole, and I guess if you assume that the attacking team will commit 4 or 5 members to pushing into CC first, it makes sense. But Rogue have gone for the approach that not a lot of teams in EU have adopted, to be honest, for the longest time. Many will just leave Jacuzzi closed and say, we're happy with CC control, we're happy with the south balcony, that does us enough. But here, a bit of a change of taste maybe. Crying up on main stairs, sees the man, the C4 comes out, but he shoots the man and the C4, doesn't get the kill. But Aces is a little bit worse for wear now, down to about half HP, and grenades are going to sing in. Both Aces and Crying committing those forwards. So we're starting to see the setup coming together for Rogue. There's no one inside of Gym because they can't play in there comfortably. So TrainHard very gently being pushed back in towards the building here. So there's more room for Rogue to get in and start thinking about their execute.
So many grenades raining left, right, and center. None really had the effect they were looking for, but the guns do, and that's Corey. He'll take out Noera, who we just talked about before in Garage. Crime will then take out Dirtser, and a 1 HP Corey, that's better than a dead Corey. In a 5v3 situation, 35 seconds left. They're doing everything they need, but Blaz is right up on the breach here, and I tell you what, Des, I'm a little bit worried for TrainHard because there's so many members getting swarmed around.
Couple of like 1v1s, 2v2s starting to square up around the site, and it looks like, for Spark, who's in a 1 versus 2, might still walk away the victory. If he gets the shotgun kill, he does. That's a good, neat couple of kills with an assist from Blaz out back, who actually collected the kill. But now Spark has got to do it all as his teammates lost that fight over on the breach. One swing, second one was coming in, but Rips closes it out. Again, another close round, very akin to round number 1, but Rogue still walk away with the round win.
You might look at that and say, oh, why did they take 2 1v1s? And then, yes, okay, the swing did come in a little bit slower there from the last player, but that was the right call. Do we go for the plant? Do we bait them out? Well, no, because then possibly you are engaging in 2 1v1s. Why not take the last 10 seconds to look for the player? You know which room they're in, push together, confirm the kill, especially against the player who, okay, at short range, if they had the shotgun out, that might have been very dangerous. But the SMG-11 doesn't have a lot of ammunition in one singular mag, so if you know he's got it out, you're pretty good and safe on to push in as a double kind of double trouble, that triangulation there. Nevertheless, this one looks like a little bit more of a rougher game for Rogue than their game yesterday, I'm going to be honest.
So far being challenged and being stretched. We'll give it to the second half to see how things shape up on then. It might be a very different story altogether. I was going to ask you a question about the SMG actually there, because I agree with you when I saw it. I was like, 2 separate 1v1s spaced out about a second and a half apart. Is that the second player waiting on the reload in your opinion?
You're not going to know if he has the shotgun or the SMG-11 out when you push. That's it. Like, there's no possibility, even if your teammate died before, maybe 5 seconds before, you don't know if he swapped to his shotgun. You cannot have this premonition. All you can do is push and hope that you guys peek at the same time triangulated, and they couldn't have known he was right up on the door. They might have thought he was out towards a mirror spot or underneath the hatch. So for me, I think it was a bit of a Hail Mary from them. I think it was the right call, but I definitely think they should have pushed in closer proximity.
This is interesting. What you're seeing the castle do here of Noera is setting up the castle barricades as if they're playing this SSG strat, the kind of roam that we're all used to seeing, but normally you complete it with a mute and a mozzie on the top floor.
Yeah.
And having this double wall reinforced out makes me think that actually Spark's going to hang out on the ground floor, so it's not going to be a full 3-story stretch, but it is going to be we want to hold the ground floor here and cause a bit of trouble. Really curious to see if this works out, because they could very comfortably break in through the front door, take control of bar, and you've already done the hard work for them of opening up the hatch. No Kaid in play either. Rogue could be able to go and start thinking about and execute incredibly quickly.
I have so many questions and I'm trying to take it all in, because look at this. If Leon runs in, uses the rotate the castle just made, look at that. It negates all of the castle. It negates everything. The drones are in full force. The yellow pings come out, and guess what, TrainHard? It's a great idea. I won't take that away from you. But when you have a Leon Gids on the Ash and a hot drone in front of him, you are not prepared for the full force of what Rogue can bring.
This is the problem, and normally why you want the support from above from a Mute and a Mozzie. And they did have, I believe, the Jaeger and the Valkyrie upstairs to try and provide some cover, but all they're going to keep on doing here, Rogue, is just keep on flooding in, cut off this rotate back to site. If you control bar, like you saw in our clubhouse segment earlier on, you have so much control of the rest of the map, the ability to rotate and control key choke points if you want to. I think here it's more work for TrainHard to be able to recover and get everyone back safely, because at this point, Blaz is still out in Strip Club and nowhere really near the site right now, and I'd be very surprised if he gets back there safely.
What? Oh no, he thought someone might have been pushing him. Yeah, he was hopeful someone was pushing him from the strip door.
10 seconds prior, there was someone on strip door, so I get what he was thinking.
Well, I don't think he has to rotate into the billiards bar. Dirtzer will be able to get on out, but Blaz will get caught on out on his rotate. Aces will take him down. And whilst Dirtzer look like he wants to capitalize on getting that number advantage or try and even out the numbers disadvantage that they have now, he is better off going back to site, playing the last 50 seconds of this round, because let's be honest, I mean, with Leon Gids going down, that's not a huge downer. I mean, those Ash charges, were they really going to be used for anything else? Hatches are already open on up. It will depend now whether they can get this dirt control. Chaoxis, be careful, buddy. You don't have any ADSs beside you. And as a result, he's going to expel a couple of these smoke babes. And it is his job here to hold off as long as possible, because with 30 seconds left, they are surely going to do a kitchen hatch drop. And he is going to be the biggest line of defense.
I mean, if anyone could do it, it's going to be Chaoxis. He has been the hero for this team so many times, especially on Clubhouse. But in comes Durza, one into Aces, traded back straight after. And elsewhere, Spark's going to bring down Corey. Out comes the shotgun inside of Dirt to bring down one for Chaoxis, and Rips is all alone. Oh, what did we say? The man himself, give him any kind of gun, it feels, and he can frag on this map. 2 kills coming out inside of Dirt. Beautiful play from Chaoxis, and it started out really dicey after Leon cut inside a bar, I think. But from there, TrainHard did stabilize and didn't really bleed out from that point forwards.
Dirt control is a very precarious control as a defender, and it's genuinely almost always going to be the shotgun SMG player, generally the smoke, because they can delay a lot of time, have that error denial of the smoke babe. It's not about plant denial with the smoke in that case. It's almost always about having dirt control, because if anyone drops the kitchen hatch, you can swing out. With the shotgun, the SMG doesn't really matter, and you are going to be the one that is in complete control. It's a power position for that exact reason, and leaving it late in the round to deal with, it's not necessarily wrong. It's what most teams do. But if that one singular person who's pushing dies, you lose all of the leverage you had.
We saw it yesterday, I think it was in Navi's game, actually. There was a round when the drop was trying to come down through the kitchen hatch, and Navi secretly was playing inside of Dirt, just steps out and absolutely domes the guys who dropped in, who admittedly didn't play behind a smoke plant, for example. It was a little bit scrappy, a little bit chaotic, but still worked out in the favor of Navi massively when they had the ability for 2 or 3 members to swing on anyone trying to go for a drop. It was an absolute slaughter, and a similar sort of vibe would have happened there. But Rogue, I think quite rightly, took the challenge inside of Dirt and still walked away the loser.
Wow. Watching TrainHard this game has been phenomenal. And for those people who've been watching Siege for quite a long time, if you saw that bar strategy, albeit it didn't work, I will put it out there, just because something doesn't work doesn't mean it's not good. What they did there was revolutionary here on Clubhouse. What they're doing on that particular wall towards Garage, and then having that bottom wall also closed, that's another good one. It is going to directly counter lines of sight from below, and it gives them a line of sight, and it lets them to do a lounge hold here, which is why they've got the shield, the Surya gate, the blue hatch open, ADSs. This is really cool, and it's not often, ladies and gentlemen, we get to say that there is a brand new strat being run on Clubhouse as one of the most played maps in all of EUL.
I swear, any player from Tempra that has moved to another team is doing some wild stuff. Think about Vitality and what P4's up to on there with the kind of crouch walking Ash sort of vibe, right? And then look at how it's shaped up here with this setup. I look back at Tempra and remember their penthouse hold on coastline. That's how balmy they were, where they open everything up, and they're trying to go for a similar vibe here. Admittedly, not the full open, and Leon very narrowly dodging away from the C4 there on the rappel. Fortunate that he was up on that spot, not to get himself taken out too early on. And I guess for Rogue here, it's going to lead to questions. How do we adapt? How do we deal with this? Because it feels like TrainHard have got a kind of extended setup on the go, but they've also set up downstairs and a holding site. How many players can they have in different places and still have so much map control, Jess?
The trouble is when you spread yourself really thin like that, that's when weaknesses can open up. But what they're doing to plug those holes of those weaknesses is using that pure aggression, that mechanical skill that we know TrainHard has, that you had preluded before and prefaced before on the likes of Blaz, Chaoxis, and Noera. Finally, one of the nades will hit, and Rogue's been tossing out many without big effects so far. They won't know Chaoxis is down at the moment because they won't be counting points as they're in the middle of this round, so he could be picked up. My biggest point here is look where the site is and look where half of the defender players are. That is spread out 20-fold, and it's only Noera really over towards Garage to hold on to that one. And here we go. Rogue will kick off as they catch several players out in wrong areas, but Blaz, he's been shifted over to the Jaeger now, and he'll hit a beautiful double kill. It's not going to be who was on the Jaeger before. They're throwing operators around between each of these players. There you go.
Oh, Blaz, great 3K to close. I mean, the second one was a pre-fire onto the construction window, but that final one, wonderful 1v1 coming out, sees the man, let that gun kick and let it hit some heads. That's what we're used to seeing from players like Blaz. A 3K in the round, and I think we can both say for a couple of seconds, it looked like Rogue was stabilizing when they brought it back down into a 3 versus 3, and then all-out warfare commenced around construction. That's where both teams converged, but sadly, one-man army. It looks like Blaz can do all the work for them. Really impressed by TrainHard so far. And we said yesterday, going into Clubhouse is one of it is their most played map. That's why we assume they would head pretty much all the time, because even when things are going bad, you can at least feel comfortable on the map and maybe get something out of it. You're really starting to see that shine today.
Biggest thing for me as well is look at the operators that Rogue has been consistently taking. We've got those double hard breaches. We've got a lot of grenades that they are bringing over and over and over again. And a lot of the time, considering and you can see spoken, but it is Dirtza, just to really lay down there with the audience right now. It is Dirtza, couldn't log into his account, so that's why you see the spoken name, and that's who we're referring to here, the Jaeger on the side of TrainHard here. And the biggest thing for me is that a lot of these ADS placements haven't really had effect as to where Rogue is using a lot of their utility in regards to those grenades, flashes, etc. So for me, and I do like what they're doing here, and I'm hoping that we can get a little bit of an overview on the side. Thank you very much. After this replay, we can get back to it as well. This triple kill here from the Jaeger, and maybe it's just the carbine. Ugh. Yeah, there we go.
I think you can make any gun with low recoil, which of course is currently being changed on the TTS, but low recoil, spray through with enough bullets in the mag, that's also being changed. Enough moments where you can just pre-file windows like that and pray that someone's going to peek at the exact moment. And unfortunately for Corey, he stepped straight into those bullet lines and took one to the brain. Either way, round number 6, we're going...
Hello?
Where? Hello?
No, not the same window he did last time. I knew, it was the rappel from Corey on the angle.
Wow.
He re-challenged it. Okay. So the trouble is that last time they held gym and bedroom, Blaz was on this exact window. Corey was very aware and he challenged it. And I did say that with the type at that kind of range, even as a tier 1 player with great mechanical skill, which Corey has, that is still going to have a kick. If you miss one bullet against an AUG with almost no recoil at that range, you will die. And all it takes is one bullet to the head and Corey is flattened. That is the Habana out of commission. That is big damage because that is hard breach.
You touched on the point there that I did want to mention, actually. Leon has been playing things like the Ashe and the Zofia all game long, and we knew that he stepped into this IGL supportive role for a while. It's been Rips and Corey on those roles all day so far today, and Corey surprises me, given he's been the main entry for the team for the longest time. So a little bit of a change coming in. Maybe they're thinking, look, last Playday, we've guaranteed top 4 here. Let's not so much mess about and throw the game, but let's try some different things here. So we'll come stage 2, we've got some more ideas to experiment around with. I'm not entirely sure, but it is interesting to see.
Well, this is a pretty default meta setup here, having that line of sight so that Blaz can assist the player in cash. Speaking of the player in cash, can't even put my words together here. He's barely alive. Grenades will rain over, and this has been something that Rogue's been putting a lot of emphasis on. Get those grenades. They have 4 almost every single round, and whether they're getting rid of shields, whether they're getting rid of bodies, they're trying to use it to good effect. I wouldn't say that it's always been used to the best effect, and that might have just been a little bit of a fat finger there. We know that that happened with Corey against G2 yesterday with the Gone. I'm not going to go too much into that detail there. I think
the fat
with the
finger
time
was
management...
the pain.
No, the Gone was Corey.
Yeah, we had the Uno coming off the plant.
Yes, but that wasn't.
To be fair, he was out of bullets, I read, apparently. Corey had no bullets left. He pulled out his secondary. It was like, oh no, it's a Gone 6.
Exactly. So I think that was the bit of the conversation that we heard in the post-game interview. If you guys want to go back in yesterday's game,
funny.
we thoroughly suggest you do, because it was very, very contentious. This C4, however, not contentious at all, because, well, once Spark gives the call that someone's dropped, he can stand back. That pre-placed C4 can go boom, and it will put this Rogue player sky high, because this is what TrainHard needs. 20 seconds left here, Des, not looking good.
Spark at the exact wrong moment chooses to step forward, but he knew pressure was coming in. There is a C4 from below, but Blaz shut down at the exact moment it comes out and connects. I think for Rogue, once they were in the 4 versus 3, they knew that it was going to be a pretty rhythmic setup from there and a push forwards. Dare I go as far as saying, Jess, that is the only real round in this half that I felt convinced by Rogue. The other rounds, round 1 and round 3, ended in 1v1s. That was much more convincing.
I will say that when we use the terminology convincing, I think the audience can take it the wrong way. And it's something that I myself use a lot. I would say, wow, I'm not very convinced, or I'm very convinced, or you know what I mean? They don't look confident. And it's those kind of key words that people go, oh, well, you're calling them bad. Well, no, because these teams, TrainHard has been near the bottom of the standings throughout the entire season. Technically, TrainHard is a team that you would say is not a convincing team. When Rogue doesn't play convincing against a team that hasn't been convincing throughout the season, that will show you that we are we're being very thorough here in our analysis, that Rogue is not playing as they usually would. TrainHard, however, having a very good game here and on a map that we would expect them to do well on, and they've been having a better season as the past few playdays have progressed. So it's not to say that these teams are by any means bad, but I will agree with you there. I'm not convinced and I'm not confident by Rogue at the moment.
You see, sometimes, chat, let's be real, probably in every 10 times that Jess says something about me, 9 times out of 10, she is digging in the grave for me and throwing me in it. But every 1 in 10 times, she does get me out the grave, fill that hole, and pat me on the head and say, it's okay now. That's exactly what she just did. So I'm looking forward to the next 9 blocks of abuse that I get. We'll see how things step forward from here. But let's get into it then. Second half of the game. And again, looking at how that first half went, I say like not really particularly convincing. For me, it was more down to how close those rounds are coming. You're right. They're in 4th position versus the, at this point, 8th place team. And if this game goes to Rogue, they will potentially be the 9th or 10th place team. How scary that will be. It's more, I think, the expectation of Rogue as a 4th place team that rounds would be a little bit cleaner. But if nothing else, it's a testament to TrainHard, and I'll give them that every day of the week. Let's see how things set up, though. It's Chaosis getting himself a exothermic down on this wall. It is currently muted out, so I need to deal with that before this wall can be opened up. So I'll be relying on someone to get downstairs. But I imagine what happens now is Chaosis rotates himself over towards something like the construction wall. They get in from there, they get both sides open, then they start thinking about what the execute's going to be.
He did manage to lay that exothermic on the wall, and he is awaiting that mute jammer to be removed. Aces is the one that planted it on the wall. He'll also be the one to defend it from below. And whether or not he lays his life down to do it, I'm not sure. I do think it will be the grenade that will come sailing through, but they need to be very careful. How many ADSs have been committed to this? I would say only 1 and 2. Woohoo! Jeez, there you go. He really wanted to keep that wall intact, and whether or not I said throwing a body at it would be okay, well, he seemed to think it was, and there go the smokes. And I'm gonna tell you what, right here, right now, Des, even though bottom floor might not be used, the smoke might not be used for plant denial, it is on this side. So losing your smoke is massive.
Yeah, really good setup. And again, you always draw questions to where ADSs are being positioned here. I thought we would have seen 1 or 2 on the edge of the server facing out towards that CC wall, but apparently not. Either that or they were cleared out in some way that we quite simply didn't see, but I'm pretty sure there were just none there in the first place. Either way, numbers advantage for TrainHard. And again, let's remember they have gone onto the attacking half here. We commented how CC has become much more attacker-sided than it has been defender-sided lately. The other side's still leaning in towards defenders generally. But I think at a 3-3 point, you feel like it's pretty balanced between the two.
Oh, Dirt, so he could toss a grenade in the drone hole right now and get a nice sweet kill. But oh no, it's almost as if Ace has heard me and said, I'm going to take out the player before he can use his last grenade. 45 seconds left here, Des, and I'm going to tell you what, 1 for 1, given Corey going down and the smoke babes being lost, this actually looks better for TrainHard. I'm not sure they've opened up Con though, but they are going to try and open it up now, and as they do, it looks like they want to do a plant from outside. Look at the positioning far.
Cryin sat behind them inside a bedroom, just daring them to come jumping in. If they haven't drone this out, this could be absolutely catastrophic. And Aces is doing Aces things. The number of times that I've seen him do the mute swing from red onto the CC breach this season is ludicrous. It's almost like his trademark move. Cryin goes for a challenge, and sadly Blaz a little bit too quick on the trigger fingers there. He's currently sat at, what, 11 kills this game? It's unbelievable the damage that he's putting in, and seeing Durza sat on 9. Incredible performance in just 7 rounds. Rips in a 1 versus 2. Chaos is going to say, nay, we shall not be able to do a clutch out here. In fact, this one is going to be our round win, and they pull ahead for the first time in this fixture.
A lot of people are going to be questioning, why didn't the player in Con move up on Rips? I mean, they could hear him shuffling around. They heard, and it's a very specific sound that the T5 makes, so you're going to know exactly where that player is coming from. The traces, they knew he was there. Without a doubt in my mind, they knew he was in cash. My biggest thing is that the audience is going to be sitting there going, why didn't he push in? Well, because Chaoxis was waiting. He wanted to come in through the breach from behind, go top red and pinch. And that is a really, really good attack from TrainHard. From a team that we have criticized as being unprepared, and rightfully so, no preseason, so of course they're going to be lacking in certain areas. I definitely think that TrainHard are here today to play and are showing us what some weeks of practice and scrims could do, because that's an impressive attack. It's impressive coordination, and that pinch at the end solidifies to me that they are idealizing pinching and trading, which is an important fundamental for a team.
Absolutely. Well, let's see how that sets up on the downstairs as we head down into the dark, dingy basement, or not so dark. It's quite well lit when you look at it, actually, for somewhere that's normally hanging out in the basement of a building. And again, I draw attention back to the kills that have spread across the map so far. Aces has been the shining light for Rogue. I spoke in that last round about his swing out onto CC. Team should know that he is going to do this and have some kind of counter by now, because I remember earlier in the season, he swung with the SMG onto a player that was lay in the spawn area rafters, and it was like, how? Yes, it was against Secret. How does he hit shots like that? He does it all the time, and teams need to be prepared for this because it is the Aces special. But on the other side, I've touched on the 2 players that are really catching my eye. Durza had a great game yesterday, same again today, and Blaz, the player that we were saying really needed to step up, is doing just that.
You know what's very annoying is that I felt that Noera, especially in the first half, had a banger of a game so far. The only kill he got was that nasty pixel peek with the Roni onto garage door. That's it. All the rest have been assists. And to be able to look at a player and not realize he's holding a breadstick currently is good, because it possibly means that they've been having impacts in other ways, shape, or form. But he has died, you know, for the predominant amount of rounds. He's only got that original pixel peak kill. So maybe, especially if you're going to be the Zofia player, you do need to be stepping up just a little bit more. And, oh, looky here. Of course, he's going to be in the typical, stereotypical Zofia position. And he does look around for that Valkyrie cam, which was in a very prime position. But not a lot of people look up in that area.
Always looking down what drones are on the ground, what players are laid down, for example. There isn't really much time to look up. Something you normally expect always in an FPS, unless you're trying to push around a corner ADS, expecting a head to appear on the other side pretty quickly afterwards. Either way, you're going to see the Zofia, as we're so used to seeing, looking to storm down blue here and put a bit of pressure on towards Cryin or anyone that's playing in the back of Church. You can normally get that long angle in behind roughly where the shields are now. We've seen a couple of teams, and I think of BDS playing a bandit in that spot, lose members to someone taking that longer angle. That's why in this case that wall has been reinforced off. No one's dead yet. A minute and 20 left to play, though. This is going to be one of those rounds, I think, Jess, where it's all going to explode in the late round.
Well, they were just droning there to see if that Kai was going to Electric Claw trick this, because Blaz will toss a grenade down, no ADSs, and they heard that one, so Rips will get on out of there. Good timing, but the grenade misses. And that's why Leon's decided to run over towards the hatch, because it's given them a false sense of security here. Miss another grenade? Oh no, it's Spoken's turn. Catch up, get onto the clown wheel and see if you can get it happening. It is on the pillar on the right. You're gonna have to throw it very shallow. And I believe they do end up finally getting it, but it's taken every single grenade on the board to do it. No, so you guys can see the pillar at the top there, and unfortunately the spectator won't be able to show us. It'll depend on whether Leon, who's looking directly at someone's head through the wall, will be able to spot it, but that's why they haven't been able to grenade it. That will save them that entire hatch.
Unfortunate as well, because the grenades were well placed. It's definitely not really a slip up on TrainHard, maybe a lack of information, but here comes Blaz doing Blaz things. 2 kills for himself, immediate trade out. Cryum is going nuclear inside of Gem, but no, Blaz to connect with the third. Steps up to 14 kills in the map. Why does it have to be saved for the last Playday, my man? Either way, big numbers for them. Chaos to get the next, and surely Corey doesn't clutch this one out. They can plant if they need to inside of the other site. That's exactly what Noera is going to go for, and now you're looking towards the angle being held. It is there, and the kill trades come through. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter because there was one left alive. The plant was going down anyway. That's going to be another round going the way of TrainHard, Jess, and they're starting to pull ahead now at 5-3.
Nice little trade there at the end as well. Actually, I thought Corey had hit that one, which was a surprising little trade. And had he have got that with being alive, he might have been able to take the 1v1, especially if he crouch walked in, pulled out the shotgun, forced that close range engagement. I believe there will be a possible tac pause. I'm not sure. But if there's not, I would be surprised if Rogue doesn't take one within the next round or two. And yes, they will. So you'll come back to our faces. And I think when you're 2 rounds deficit, being one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the entire league against one of the bottom 2, that's probably a time to take a tac pause.
Absolutely, and I've got to give it to TrainHard. Today has been a good day, and all right, look, one player we were speaking about, Noera, 1 kill to his name so far, hasn't been a great game, but every single week you can't always rely on the same player to go big for you. I think we're all going to say we're delighted to see Blaz stepping up and making a difference here on the final Playday. And I guarantee you it's going to do a world of good for his KD off the back of this week because it's looking golden so far. But again, I touched on back in the first half, it ended at 3-3. There were a couple of rounds that were incredibly close for Rogue. And imagine if those 2 rounds, 1 and 3, had gone the way of TrainHard, we'd already be sat here looking at a win for TrainHard. That's how decisive this game has been for them. And for Rogue, I really hope after this tac pause, we see an incredible round coming out. We've seen a few this season where teams are down 2 or 3 rounds in a row, have a pause, and they come out and flawless round the next one. We've got to see something different here if they're going to be able to get anything out of this match. Otherwise, they're going to be settling for 4th place with no hope of knocking Kavana out of 3rd place.
Something we also have to sort of go back on, and we don't have to go back that far, ladies and gentlemen. Remember when Na'Vi went up against Rogue, Na'Vi smashed Rogue on this map 7-1. Now, mind you, a lot of people might argue that's when they were, in their wishy-washy state. I don't really care. It was this stage. It was very recent. I definitely think that that's an indicator that maybe for Rogue, what they're putting up on this map hasn't been working. If they lose to TrainHard on it, then I'm going to guarantee this is going to be one of the weakest maps here for Rogue, no matter the other results they've had on it. Because you can't get 7-1 by Na'Vi. You can't then go against the bottom 2-3 team and then also lose it. That's something that will scream to me they need a bit of a change up on it, and whatever they've been doing doesn't work, especially against multiplicity of teams. Nevertheless, CCTV for Rogue, I was looking over a couple of their stats here because you and I kept saying it's a weak side, and statistically over the league it has been a weak side. We're not lying about it, but when I look over towards the stats here, they've got a 50% win rate on it this season, so it's a 50-50 toss of the coin.
How many rounds was that covering, by the way?
About 6 that I have from this stage alone.
Fair enough. We could dig back into the archives, I'm sure, but the game is so different now compared to what it was 6 months ago that it's almost pointless at this stage. Either way, round number 9, Rogue have had that pause. They've had a conversation. They've discussed what's been going wrong. You might point to in parts and say, well, Corey swinging onto the west window early on definitely is a great way to throw the round away. But then look at Aces getting a kill out of the breach, for example, like he so commonly does. It's one of those 50-50 risk versus reward situations that they've kind of been balanced on in that round. What I'm keen to see is Durza, of all people, one of the more aggressive players on TrainHard, stepping up on the Monty here. So clearly TrainHard have made good use of the tap pause themselves and said, right, they're going to try and deal with what we've played for the last 2 rounds. How do we mix it up and bring something fresh? What better than a Monty?
I love the fact that they've double reinforced off garage as well. They were willing to give that up early, and that's good because now they have to deal with this double reinforcement. Platform's not open either. Where are your hard breaches at the moment? Chaos is on the Thermite as per usual. Spark's going to be on the Ace. And for the most part for me, Spark being underneath is a big question mark because shouldn't he be outside on the wall? Shouldn't he be in garage right now trying to open up the line of sight for the Monty? Because if he unshields and jumps in, then things are going to look very bad. man, what a beautiful adaptation to be able to shotgun the top of that wall, toss over a C4, take 50% of the life away from Dirtster on the Monty. But as I say that one hard breach goes down, it's all up the spark with the Selmas here, and this is looking like a dire round for TrainHard, but we've seen them turn it around with kills alone.
You say die around. I mean, yeah, Chaos is going down is really going to sting, but they've got the wall open. They've got the Monty to feed them information back and forth. If they can play this right, there is only one C4 left for Rogue, and that is currently sat in Corey's mitts. If he gets it out at the right time, connects onto the Monty, then yeah, this round is well and truly done. But they've got 4 smokes to play behind, and with them now running out of time, we've got to see them push that big red button that says, guys, let's go, let's make it happen. It looks like it's going to be the Monty to step forward. He's in, probably going to want to turn his back and go for a plant here, but instead pushing forward to feed a bit of information.
Oh.
Where are they? What can we do? Is this going to be a mad burst in from TrainHard here? That's what I'm expecting to see, and surely the aggressive push comes in. Here we go. 1 in, looking up towards red. They win the trade up there, so it's 4 versus 3. Swinging in Nuera with a massive flank on the side, but can't connect. The third only finds the 2. Ritz with the double. It's into a 3 versus 2. But the crucial thing, Jess, there is no C4 left for Corey. They're going for a plant. Where is he planting? It's to your left, Leon. You can step in and put him down in the dirt here. It was nice and simple from there. A good close out. The TrainHard, a good attempt, but with Couch just going down early, I think that round was done.
Wow, there was also a very gnarly line up there from the bodies from red over towards cash and into construction. I thought to myself, wow, you've just collected the freest double kill of your life. But what happens is the bullet penetration going through that body doesn't quite hit the same when it hits the second person. He manages to spray back. That was a chaotic bit of engagement there from construction and cash. I don't want to say that they were planting in the wrong spot, but I do want to question the fact of when you have that breach open, when you have default plan position, and when you know that there's no one left with the C4 because you've already heard 2 go off, why not just plan default? What is wrong with getting in from garage, going behind the bomb chassis, and doing a default plant when you know there's no denial? You've also got a shield on your back if you want to do a backwards plan as well. I question that. And the reason I question it is because I don't mind the aggression, but why?
I imagine once Noera's got control of top red and they feel they've picked up the 2 kills inside of cash that they need, and also had the guy in construction the fully aware of holding the angle he goes down to, they think, hey, everything is totally clear. The problem is though, because Noera died in red and didn't retain red control, it was far too easy for Leon to rotate up, come in behind them and put the planter down. I get what you're saying as well. And I
but what about before that? What about way before that, when they were just getting garage control and they had that wall open with the Selma charges? Why did they then feel they needed to push in so aggressively? That's my question. Is that part of the TrainHard strategy? Is to, instead of just go for plans, they want to go in and absolutely decimate everyone? Because I argue to myself that that might not be the strategy to play with here. However, this round we got the Pog mats, and this is something I usually see from G2, and I'm going to be seeing it from Rogue here in all the right places. Everywhere you would expect players to be vaulting in a rush in the last 10 seconds. That's where those trust traps will be. And they'll work well in those particular positions, because I think G2 will slap 1 in that rotate there towards logistics. These are in different positions, only slightly though.
How you speak about the kind of going for the plant but also rushing and try and kill everyone, it really rings reminiscent of what we saw out of, say, Citizen for G2 earlier in the season. I always think back to Consulate when they wanted to get Garage, for example, to go for a plant. They go, right, you guys are planting, I'm going for cafeteria. I'm killing every fool who's sat in there. We're going to win the round off that alone. I get the aggressive style, but it is very high risk versus reward, as we said. You need to find those frags, otherwise it's all going to fall apart. And credit to Noera, he's found 2 kills in that round. Only though, that brings him to 3 across the whole map. If he connected the triple kill, different conversation we'd be having right now, as it would have been TrainHard at match point. But Rogue are swinging back. 5-4, round number 10. You've already touched on the Frost being brought along here as well. And the Valkyrie has been so prominent in this map. I think if nothing else, the occasional camera that we've seen from the Valkyrie and the usage of it, where it's been placed, information it's feeding, it just goes to show why so many teams are banning it away this season.
Absolutely. It was one of the most banned defensive operators mere weeks ago. I don't know if that trend has continued, and I do have it up here. And actually, yeah, it is still the most banned operator by far. In fact, it has a 55 or more ban rate. And you know what else needs to be banned? These grenades from both of these teams that they've been absolutely demolishing each other with. Rogue, they gave them a taste of the grenade medicine, and now TrainHard is giving them a taste of their own medicine straight back.
Okay, well, it's a bite back into 2. And again, for Rogue, now you're starting to sweat a little bit because if this goes through to overtime, I can't remember the direct head-to-head result between Kavana and Rogue. In fact, Kavana won. Rogue needs to win in regulation time, but their chance is slipping through their fingers here. TrainHard take this round. It's done. They can't take 3rd place. Rogue will definitely finish in 4th place. You've got to see a wonderful play coming out of Crime right now. This is the time to step up. Finds 1. 45 seconds still to play. That is a lot to use here. Goes for another one. Almost collected it. But no, it's TrainHard taking round 10, locking Rogue into 4th place and basically guaranteeing them that they stay in 8th place. I'm kind of gutted. I'm on the desk for the next game between Secret and Empire. And my big point was if TrainHard lose as expected against Rogue, these 2 teams, whoever wins out of Secret and Empire, take the 8th spot. That is now completely different. There is no way in which TrainHard can lose 8th place now that we are in overtime. They'll be so thankful they've managed to hold on to the money and those 115 SI points.
Well, there you go. That will get TrainHard squarely off the bottom. In fact, with a buffer room of 2 whole teams securing that 8th place. We've got a 10-team league here at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. Hence, we've got those 5 matches a day, 10 teams from all around Europe. And whilst the French teams have seemingly been dominant throughout this season, I mean, we've got BDS, who has that French team. Team Vitality has come in as being one of the French lineups. I mean, I was looking throughout all of the regions that are most represented in EUL, and there is a 28% French representation, only then followed by a 20% UK representation. So it's not really UK massive, it's technically French massive.
It's been French massive for ages, Jess. Let us have something, okay? We're a small, dwindling country that's currently just left the EU, and it's not a happy time. We'll take any win that we can get, God damn it. Speaking of wins, I've got to look back, actually, and comment on how the story of this game is so crazy compared to what you'd expect. TrainHard, a team in 8th place, against a team that has had one hell of a glow up as the stage has gone by. You think back to week 1 and 2, when they got slammed by Kavana. They only narrowly beat Vitality the next day, then went on to demolish VP, and things started to look up from there. Coming into this game, I think anyone would have said Rogue definitely beat TrainHard, and that's what makes EU so entertaining, is even the lower ranked teams can beat the top 4 on the right day. I love it.
Well, I want to check the predictions for today and see exactly who had put TrainHard as their pick. You picked Rogue, Milosh picked Rogue, Hat picked Rogue, and picked Rogue. It's a 100% Rogue pick. Not a single one of us picked TrainHard to walk away with the win. Mind you, whoever walks away with the entire win, whether it's in OT or regulation time, will be the winner. And so all Rogue has to do is win the next 2 rounds in a row and then win an overtime to still prove us right. But if you're a big TrainHard fan or you're a French fan, then you want this to be done in regulation time. Those 3 points will be extra valuable, put you well out of any danger zone, and it's also going to be very important for the latter stages of this year.
Now, you know what, Jess? Screw us being right. Who cares? Analysts are always wrong.
Yep.
Don't know game. Lol, not high enough rank. Whatever you want to say. We live for the underdog stories here in the UK, and that's what I'm living for. TrainHard to come out in the final 2 Playdays and play the way they have. I mean, yesterday they beat Vitality. On Monday, they almost beat Empire. That went through to overtime. They've had a very late stage glow up and showed some of the promise that we thought they might have when we saw this, what felt like a super team being put together here of some of the old Temper remnants and some of the best that we have in Challenger League, or formerly had now, of course, they're in EUL. It's a glow up that we all wanted to see, but now we need to see if they can complete the journey and not give it away in the dying moments. We even heard from Tortank in that interview before where he said, you know, it's a little bit of a motivation thing. Like, the players are lacking confidence right now, especially in the top league. Corey with the shotgun. I was hoping for a second it was going to be someone following in behind the Yana clan, but no, it wasn't quite to be. Like I say, a lack of confidence doesn't look like it today, especially for Blast, by the way. 18 kills in 10 rounds. There could be another 5 rounds, Jess. Imagine what that could become.
Well, we criticised Rogue for sending a sole player down dirt. This time, Blaz will be following that drone. You were hoping that someone was following that Gemini before, but no, pull out the shotgun, Corey. He has it in hand. He'll give up on holding it because he knows he's being droned out. Did he think he wouldn't win out on it? On close range, you absolutely would have there, Corey. You can hear a grenade being cooked in the background, rather a flash grenade, and they want to dispel this situation, this position here of Corey. They think he's still there. Alas, he is not, and Blaz will confirm that, and now they are being pinched from every side. Rogue is ever so worried. There's been not a single pick so far, and Blaz will kick it on off, but it will be a trade for trade here between TrainHard and Rogue. And I tell you what, Des, this looks like a TrainHard game.
It absolutely is. They're stepping in. They're picking up the kills. They've done everything they need to. Rogue have fallen apart at the last hurdle. Will not be able to threaten for Gavanna for third place. They lock it in. But for TrainHard, you can see the looks on their faces. They know how big this win is to say, we can do this, boys. We can bring down a top 4 team. Blaz can drop nearly 20 kills on a map. Unbelievable turnaround for the boys. I'm so excited to see what the offseason does for them and what stage 2 looks like.
A little bit of confidence can go a very, very long way, and that looks like exactly what's happened with Blaz here today. Dirtzer yet again having another banger of a match, but he was just bringing the momentum from yesterday's match, Des, so not a surprise, but that is also given a bit of a kick to Blaz. And I'm not going to say it's kills that won, TrainHard that particular match, because there was a lot of really cool strategies. They might not have always worked, but with a little bit of refinement, we might see some brand new meta strategies on Clubhouse for the first time in a long time.
If TrainHard become the new team to come up with new strats and show some fun and exciting things in EUL, I'm all for it. Again, a massive glow up for the boys. Slight commiserations to Rogue, who are going to lock themselves in 4th place, but 4th place still gets you some good cash money and also gets you those SI points. Let's go over to the Desto and get their breakdown on what was a very entertaining, albeit unexpected, opening fixture for Playday number 9.
Thanks so much, Jess and Des. And honestly, this